Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're going off a report from Mark Stein that as of until February 18th, the day before my father's 70th birthday, I don't know why I said that, but either way, Lonnie Walker has a buyout to go back to the NBA. So NBA teams have until February 18th to bring him in. And the teams that are interested are the ones that should be. Of course, the Boston Celtics are interested, who he had been with on the training camp roster, and then they had cut him because they weren't able to trade Jaden Springer in time to save money on the luxury tax to keep Lonnie Walker. There's also the Miami Heat, the Denver Nuggets, and one new team that if you guys had not been paying attention but is allegedly poking around saying that they're interested in him, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves, which all four teams, I think he's a good fit. And before we start today's video, I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Which team do you want him to be on and why do you think he's going to come over? Hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get right into today's video and talk about Lonnie Walker, as he's a guy who's going to be able to contribute to any team as a starter or even better as a sixth man, as he's a two-way player, former lottery pick. All right, he was a guy that people had a lot of hope that he was going to be a stud. Actually, he's the 18th overall, not a lottery pick. I thought he was projected to go to the lottery. I'm pretty sure he slipped to San Antonio. For some reason, I remembered him being going way higher, but he's been Europe this year, and personally, he's one of the guys who have been thriving. He's effectively gone overseas and been an impact player, and in the combined situation with like what he's doing over there, I think the biggest thing is that you're seeing is that he's been able to play for Zalgiris and be an effective guy in terms of attacking the rim, especially when you've seen him in the Adriatic League, but he's primarily played in the Euro leagues. Like his numbers in the Adriatic League are insane, but in the Euro League, yeah, they're 4-7, but he's shooting 37% from three, about 40% from the field, putting up 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. So I think that's like one of the bigger things when you're watching a guy like that is he's been able to scale his production in Europe. To me, I think right now, let's talk about him. I like the Denver Nuggets as the best team for championship aspirations. I think Miami Heat would be the best for his fit, that like they might actually keep him long term and want to, because we've just seen guys like that. I think Boston is the one that he has the most familiarity with, and the Timberwolves, I think, would be the second best fit in my opinion. What do you guys think? And we'll break them down each right now. So, what would be the first thing that I want to talk about? And I think when we look at it, I've talked about it. I think fit's the biggest thing that I look at. And I think Lonnie Walker's two-way ability complements a lot of teams. And he's kind of the guy that championship teams are going to want to have, as his play style fits seamlessly with a lot of teams. So we're going to first talk about the Boston Celtics, as I think he is a guy that if they're going to buy him out and he's going to come back, it's going to be for a championship team. Why not the team that he spent training camp with? And the defending champs, the Boston Celtics, have one of the best records in the league. And they're a team that almost hits 23 pointers a night. I think they're like 18 or 19 made threes a night. And Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are both having great seasons, and so is Peyton Pritchard. And Drew Holiday is still good, but Drew definitely seems to be a little bit slower, and his shot isn't as efficient as it was in the past. With that being said, I think it would definitely be really interesting to see Walker's athleticism with Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard off the bench, helping, to alleviate Drew Holiday or Jaylen Brown or Derek White whenever they're needed. So let's move over to the next team, the Miami Heat. I think the Miami Heat's gritty defensive first philosophy under Eric Spoelstra would suit Walker well. And this team, the Miami Heat, out of the all four teams, I think would be the team that tells him, hey, if you do well for us, regardless if we win a championship or not, we will do right by you and re-sign you to a multi-year deal. Like, you remember Dion Waiters when they did that with Dion Waiters and he worked out for them and they re-signed him. It just seems like that's the Heat's thing to do is, hey, if you fit our culture, especially with, Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero, Josh Richardson, and now with Drew Smith popping his Achilles, I think there is a position for I know Pell Larson and Jaime Jaquez are all there. Like, I think that just fits, especially a guy who can guard 1 through 3 like Lonnie Walker, and a team that shoots or makes almost 15 threes a night. I think his hardworking style, ability to guard multiple positions, makes him a natural fit. And Miami needs consistent shooting, guys who can create for themselves, and playoff caliber defense that creates an avenue for Walker to shine, especially with their reliance on 3-point shooting. Again, they're almost making 15 a game. And then we move over to the former defending champions, which were the Denver Nuggets, who still are like one of the best, if not the best offense in the league, like averaging like 120 points per game on 50% from field, which Nikola Jokic is out here looking like Oscar Robinson, averaging a triple-double. And Michael Porter Jr. has been the second most efficient offensive player for them. And Aaron Gordon's solid and everything. Christian Brown's really stepped up into his role. Peyton Watson's fun. We'll be honest, Jamal Murray is not playing like 2023 championship version or the bubble version. And I think this is leading them to seek the backcourt addition like Lonnie Walker, who could boost bench production to alleviate the scoring load. And I think Lonnie Walker's dynamic offensive game would complement in their system, which he can play with the starters as an off-ball guy, or when all the starters bench or go to the bench and he runs the second unit, he can thrive as an on-ball guy or pull, with those that motion offense that Michael Malone loves to play and take advantage of the floor spacing. His fit as a potential six-man for Michael Malone, I think, would allow the Nuggets to maintain their offensive efficiency when the starters rest or if they need Jamal Murray to sit and if he doesn't improve. Now, the Minnesota Timberwolves are starting to pick things up after a slow start. I still think Julius Randle isn't a good fit. Dante DiVincenzo is fine. He's great and everything. And this is a team that obviously relies on Anthony Edwards a lot. They make like 15 threes a game, but the team's emphasis on perimeter scoring but lacks consistency from their second unit. And Nikhil Alexander-Walker and Naz Reid are great and everything, but having Lonnie Walker, I think, would give him another splash right there, especially with Mike Conley looking a step or two older, to have a guy who can create his own shot, guard the perimeter 1 through 3. Additionally, Chris Finch, I think his development, as we've seen with other players, could unlock further facets of Lonnie Walker's game, which would allow the Timberwolves to further their playoff aspirations. And I think Lonnie Walker's ability to adapt to high pressure situations, to play multiple roles, complements the team's needs of all four of the teams we had just previously mentioned. I think Boston and Miami offer opportunities to thrive in systems that he probably fits best in, that could parlay into long-term success. I think, like, for example, if you look at the Boston situation, I don't know if that'll parlay into a long-term deal with Boston, but I think it would parlay into a long-term deal with another team if you won a championship with them. While I think if you went to Miami, it would turn into a long-term, and he does well, they would re-sign him because that's what they do. Now, I think Denver and Miami, those would both be rentals, and he would go somewhere else. And his next deal would depend on how well he does in those two systems. I just think his ability to be a scorer on ball or off ball, combined with his ability to defend, just makes him a really good player for all four of these teams. And I think the versatility that he doesn't necessarily fit one square peg allows him to be a key rotational piece for any contender. And obviously his fit's going to vary depending on each team's priorities, but I think having him available is the biggest thing. Let me hear your thoughts.